And if you were somebody who was trying to get into the webinar, unfortunately, we were experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties, or kind of a lot of technical difficulties. Essentially, the webinar wasn't working at all. And it kind of just proves that sometimes when you're running your own business, you can do all the prepping, all the planning, all the practicing, like Emily and I did a couple days ago, but still everything just doesn't want to work when it doesn't want to work. So if you were one of those people who try to show up for the webinar and learn from Emily about how to start your own event planning company, or how to run an amazing event for your brand or business and build community, really, really sorry that it wasn't working, but we managed to get most of it captured on tape. And Emily dropped some really amazing truth bombs and really amazing knowledge bombs, and just like really left us with so much great knowledge. Like, I feel even more prepared to run more events, and there were so many great questions that were asked that she answered. So essentially, I created Yes Supply because years ago when I was trying to become an entrepreneur, I found that for me to get from point A to point Z where I wanted to go, there were so much things that I didn't know, and I didn't really know quite where to get the information from. And so when I found time to start a new business, I thought about that huge problem that I had, and I wanted to find a way that I could solve it. And so Yes Supply was born, and we interview awesome people like Emily who have found their yes in life, and get them to share exactly how they did it, and give you the opportunity to get right in front of like a perfect mentor to find out exactly what you need to know. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Emily, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her business called 6 Degrees Society, and what she does to connect ambitious entrepreneurs and girl bosses all over the country. So I will throw it over to you, Emily.
Thank you, Reese. Well, Reese is so inspiring to me. Literally, I remember being introduced to her and just developing a girl crush immediately.
Aww.
Like, literally such a lady boss. Hi, guys. I'm Emily. I am the founder of 6 Degrees Society. I'm based in New York, so it's cold and freezing here. Actually, it's not. It's like 90 degrees, and it's just dark. But we are a women's focused networking organization designed to take the guesswork out of who you meet while networking. So what that means is that every single event, you will have curated connections. Those are people that are handpicked for you to meet. I have all of the attendees submit their bios pre-event so I can study them. And then based on reading their bios, I match them based on personal, professional, or what I like to say, future life self connections, developing like a more intentional and authentic way to meet and connect with other like-minded women. So I'm based in New York City, like I mentioned. But we have 8 chapters across the country, including Los Angeles, Chicago, New Orleans, San Francisco, Miami, and most recently DC, with plans of expansion for 2017 to Philly, Boston, Dallas, Houston, and Austin. So stay tuned for those 2 as well.
Awesome. And how did you get the idea for your business, and how did it go from idea to like real life thing with real people in a room and real events and real guests and all that?
It was one of those accidental ideas where I've had so many different cool chapters in my life. Like, I was born in Florida, I lived in Connecticut, I went to college in Ohio, I lived in Argentina, and I now live in New York City. I'm like the most annoying person to take to a wedding. I'm like, oh, I know someone there, I know someone there. But I knew all these amazing people and they were kind of siloed in their own little buckets, and I wanted them all to know each other. And they were all people that they should already know. So instead of sending out email intro after email intro, I locked them in the room. No, I put them in a
what kind of business?
Yeah, there's alcohol, there's food there, and I tried this. I had an experiment. Like, let's see what happens when I handpick who people meet, and if conversation will be less about the bachelor and more about like what their needs are and wants are in life, and that they can learn from one another. And this one-time experiment ended up evolving into a monthly side hustle that I built for 2 years before leaving my corporate job last December in 2015 to launch and expand full-time.
That's so awesome. And what was your first event?
My first event was 4 curated matches for 15 minutes each. It was women only, and it was at a really cool venue in New York called the Chester. They were such sweethearts, and I like literally was going to do this in my apartment, but 45 people in my tiny New York apartment would have been a disaster. So I was very grateful for them for hosting us. And, initially when it started out, my original conception was everyone would like pass the speaking wine bottle and we'd like say what we did and learn from one another. And then I figured I have ADD. I think everyone else does too. Why don't we like expedite this a bit more and make it a little bit more purposeful? So that was my first event, and then events have evolved into calligraphy 101, wine tasting 101, business plan writing, etc., etc. So you can check them all out on my website.
Cool. And so as everyone knows, there was some technical difficulties. So we have a whole 40 minutes already recorded that you'll be able to watch of the original masterclass. But one thing that you mentioned that unfortunately didn't get into the recording was you said that things kind of came very organically, like your website came up very organically and that sort of thing. So can you just tell us a little bit about how that happened?
Yeah, people kind of believed in me more than I believed in myself. So the way that I captured emails, I literally had like an Excel doc, and then I would copy all the names on the Excel, BCC them, write all the info about an upcoming event, and then people would invite friends, and then I'd add another name, and it was super like prehistoric the way that I did it. And finally, a friend was like, "Have you heard of MailChimp?" So she set up the MailChimp. She made it more beautiful than I could have done. I literally like was so elementary at it. It was like mother how to use a computer. And I started doing newsletters, and I was like, ooh, I'll be like a secret society newsletter word of mouth company. And then a friend of mine was like, you jerk, like you need a website. People need to like go places and like see upcoming events.
Yeah.
And she was like, I built you a Squarespace. Like, you're the best person.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Lucy Dungo has an amazing site, Kalaki Riot. Check out her website.
Gotta promote.
Beautiful imagery. And then from there, I started actually like launching in other cities, and not just doing one event a month. Now I do over 6 events in New York a month, and I try to do 1 to 2 events per market per month as well, depending on the capabilities of my ambassadors. So it's definitely like I did the opposite, where the business didn't come first, the business found me, or so either. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it was like the best way for me to have found my business.
Yeah, it's like serendipity.
Yeah, serendipity.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for just redoing this intro so that everyone could get a chance to know you. And everyone who's watching, hold tight. It might look a little bit different, but we're going to just send it over to the recorded masterclass, and it's like jam-packed full of amazing info and questions. So thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you so much, Reese. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, have fun. Bye.
Bye, love.
Talk soon.
I'll first ask the question from the girls who are in the Yes Supply collective. So one of her questions, so you kind of already went over like how did you get your start? You kind of talked about that quite a bit. So she wants to know, how did you create a brand in quotation, for yourself and your company? So I'm guessing she wants to know, like, what sets you apart from everybody else who is planning events, and like, how do people know you? How do they spread like wildfire? How are you like not an international, but like a national event company? Not yet, but soon. I can see like some really like chic, like French soirees in the future.
Eating some cookie butter at the table.
Yeah. But yeah, so how did you create a brand for yourself?
That's such a good question and such a hard one. So, Create Society as a side hustle, not even knowing it was going to be a company. Like, I love bringing people together. I'm a weird nerd who like hugged everyone goodbye in kindergarten because I just love people. And I had to kind of be forced into creating a brand. I just thought it was going to be this cool secret society that I invite people to my events via a newsletter. So I started with MailChimp first, and a friend literally like created my MailChimp and was like, here you go. You've got a MailChimp now. Like, cool, thanks. And then I thought it'd be like a word of mouth newsletter, which it became. And then another friend of mine was like, Emily, I just created your website. I was like, oh, what? You're amazing. That's why I'm on Squarespace. Love Squarespace, but
Like, I didn't know anything about
That's so nice. The power of having a good network, right?
Yeah, it's like they believed in me probably more than I believed in myself, and the potential of what it could be before I saw the potential. And then the next thing that I started doing was content and offering career profiles, which Reese is going to have a career profile coming up soon, which I'm really excited about. Just like shouting out the amazing women in my life and being able to share their experiences. And so it wasn't, again, like I wasn't thinking like, let's make money off of this. I was barely charging ticket prices, like just to keep, just to like pay for the little expenses I had. And then it wasn't until a friend of mine who lived in Chicago, reached out to me and was like, I've been watching your career profiles, I've been watching your website, and I love what you do. I'd love to talk to you about expanding it to Chicago. I was like, that's random.
Awesome.
Really? Okay, you want me? I thought this was a New York thing. Like, no one really cared about it except my New York people. And then I grew it to Chicago, and then same thing happened in LA and New Orleans, Atlanta, Miami, San Francisco, and DC. So it kind of just grew organically. So my advice to kind of like wrap that up into a pretty little bow is be authentic and don't like lose sense of who you are. I think the thing that I do really well is I don't try to be someone I'm not. I'm weird. I'm quirky as F. Don't know if I can curse on this thing. And I'm very much myself. And I think with my company, like I don't know if I am my company or if my company is me. And one day, maybe down the line, like I won't be as involved with it, and I'll sell it for millions and billions of dollars. But right now, it's like an extension of me. Mm-hmm. And even my logo, when I was designing my logo, my roommate worked for Rent the Runway, and I was like, I need a logo, I think. And she's like, well, what do you want it to feel like? And I was like, I want it to feel like hanging out with a good friend, like super approachable, like something comfortable, like a hug. And she's like, you're such a nerd, but and that's what I wanted my logo to exude. And my messaging, like when I don't know if you're on my newsletters, but I just try to speak as I would in an email to you or a text message to you. And I want to be relatable. Like I don't want to be someone that's aspirational. I want to be someone that's like going through the same problems that you're going through and helping you find answers and solutions to those problems. So my events are a little bit more unique. I love the side hustles and the side hustles of the side hustles. So when I was side hustling, when 6 Degrees Society was a side hustle from Tory Burch, I was also planning events for a matchmaking company, which was really fascinating. So it was essentially like Chris Harrison on The Bachelorette, where I would take these people like...
Oh, it just cut out.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
So I would take these people to like a wine trip. And one of the observation of people that I've been able to apply to events is that everyone wants to feel like they're special. Mm-hmm. And I want to make everyone feel like they're special. And I want to greet every single person. Like I go to events and I'm like, who the hell is the hostess here? Like I have no idea. A friend of a friend invited me and no one introduced themselves. So I really make it a point to like introduce myself. And so this applies to all of you. No matter what type of event you're hosting, introduce yourself to the person, greet them, hug them, handshake them, whatever. Don't this, because I swear to God, if you this them, that's like the most like you don't matter to me kind of introduction. So show them that you care, and then introduce them to someone else. Like I do the handoff a lot. Like I'll welcome someone. I'm like, oh my God, it's so nice to meet you, Susie. I also study each person that's going to be in the event before the event, so I know something about them. And then I'm like, Susie, you're from Michigan. You're from Windsor, Canada. You guys should talk. And then we'll set them up for conversation and then greet the next person. So everyone feels like they're taken care of. Yeah. And I also am always listening and watching out of every angle of my head. The cameras everywhere.
and I try to anticipate people's needs. So if you forgot to put out water, like fetch the person water, always offer them a drink, always make them remove their bags, like put them down. They put a long day. They don't want to carry 20 pounds of laptop with them.
Yeah.
Make them feel like they're at a dinner party, even if it's not a dinner party, even if it's at a store or a nightclub. Like, well, maybe not a nightclub. Don't put your bags down. Get them checked. Get them in a coat check. Coat check is very important. Don't forget the power of a coat check. But yeah, just make them feel welcome. And that's, I think, how my brand has grown. It's grown organically, and people who have been to my events will then tell their friends in other cities or share it. And it's just been really, I feel really lucky. I feel like the luckiest person in the world because I'm doing what I'm really passionate about.
That is like, oh, you know what? I hear an echo. Can you just press like, actually, why do I hear an echo? That's weird.
Oh, because you're hearing yourself on mine. I'll microphone myself.
Okay, cool. That's a good idea. Thank you. I'll just wait till she gets her headphones in. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Sorry. Yeah, so I love that part about your brand. It's not like you had to super think out everything and think out the colors and be like, who am I going to be on stage and do this whole fake thing, which I think a lot of people now feel like they almost have to do. Like you feel like, okay, I'm starting a business, so I have to be this like big, successful, like glittery, like, you know, center of the stage kind of person. And you are awesome proof that you can just like yourself, like just be nurturing and warm and kind and not even think too much about the brand, and things will just happen like how they're supposed to happen. And I'm sure people connect to that 10 times more than if you were like, I'm Emily, like welcome, like this whole big show, because then it would seem fake and you would seem detached. So thank you so much for that. Oh.
There's I have a copywriter that I like send things to every once in a while. I'm like, this is what I don't want to sound like. Please tell me I don't sound like this. Because I get an email from this one blogger who it's like, hello, my little sparkly mushrooms. And I'm like.
But you know what? If that's her, like power to her. And I'm sure she has lots of sparkly little.
I'm on her list. Like, but I'm like, I'm so, you know me, Reese. I'm like I'm so me. Like, I'm so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Reese is giving me advice. She's like, you need to like work on your Instagram, girl. I'm like, I know.
No, I didn't tell you. You asked. Your Instagram is fine.
I'm like, but I love posting pictures of lots of groups of people.
Yeah, no, but it's good. Like your Instagram has to reflect you. So I don't think I told you I had to change it. I think we were
no.
openly discussed. I would never force someone, like even when clients want to work with me, I never force someone or push somebody into working with me. It's like, if you want to, you know, improve your brand, then you can, but I'm not going to force it on you. That's just like my type of.
Oh, I love it. This is why I have friends like you, though, who I'm like, is this right? Should I not post that?
Yeah, once you ask, then I won't shut up, but you have to ask. Yeah. Cool, because I could talk about Instagram and social media all day. So another question we have from Samantha, one of our collective members, is, well, you kind of answered it, so maybe this will be a quick answer, but what was your biggest fear and biggest concern going into this business? And it seems like you weren't too worried, but you can correct me on that.
I was my biggest fear, I think it's your turn to mute yourself. My biggest fear.
Sorry.
That's okay. Now I hear the echo. It was definitely money. I mean, I live in New York City, like one of the most expensive cities in the world. I love traveling and just figuring out a way to make it work. So I'm the first one to admit that I have this is my full-time job, but I'm not ashamed to say that I babysit, I dog walk. I will, you know, like if someone wants to take over my room, I will go stay on someone's couch. Like the hustle is real, and I've never felt more fulfilled in my entire life because I am doing what I love, and I'm able. What's so beautiful about events is once you master like the coordination of it, which I think is really cool. The freebie that Reese is going to give you guys later. It's you can be anywhere, and you can coordinate an event and give it to like Susie in Austin and she can exit, if you have everything laid out and planned, it can go off without a hitch and you don't have to be there. And that's something that I learned with my experience in fashion. I was managing over 100 stores and planning events on the same night. And yeah, sure, things happened, but it always worked out. Always good experiences. But my number one concern and my number one fear was being poor and broke and living on the streets. Oh, you're muted, love.
I said the most wise thing and you didn't hear me. No kidding. No, I think everybody has that fear of lack of money in the back of their head, but it's like at one point, like especially when you're just starting, at one point you just have to take that jump. And like there's so many good examples of people sort of half doing things and half having their full-time jobs and half having their hustle, and then it doesn't work out because you don't put yourself in it enough to actually do the work and stretch yourself and take the risk that you need to make your thing the thing that it's supposed to be. So I think everyone has that fear, but the fear means that you're doing something that you're actually supposed to do. So thanks for sharing that too. So, and don't worry, you're not the only one who is worried about money, but eventually you just get better at it, and then it's not as scary anymore. But then your expenses get higher, and then it's still like kind of always a balance.
And so I actually met with my banker today, who I love, and I was like, so what credit card should I pay off first? Like personal, professional? Like, how do you do this?
What's better for my taxes?
Yeah, seriously. No money? Poverty line? That's good.
Exactly. So another big question that people have is, you recently worked with Ann Taylor. You know, you work with a lot of cool brands, whether it's a big brand or maybe even just a smaller like store or business, to get sponsors for your event. So whether that's like free food, free wine, maybe a venue space. And a lot of people are sort of afraid to ask for that sort of thing or don't know how to ask for that sort of thing. So what would be your advice for getting a sponsor for one of your events?
This is such a good conversation the other night with you, Reese.
Yeah.
I love Instagram, and I love the power of Instagram. And it actually happened today, kind of like what we were talking about the other night. We had this whole conversation about I don't really accept no. But I also, if you say no to me, I'm like, fine, that's fine. I never want someone to do something that they don't feel comfortable with. Like, you don't want to partner with me, that's no big deal. But I am going to make sure that you see how much fun we're having and how much fun you're missing out on and how incredible our community is. But I love Instagram Messenger, and like Instagram really makes every brand so much more approachable. So I direct message brands all the time, and I'll be like, I love what you're doing. I'd love to connect with someone on your team. What's the best email to reach out? And I usually get a message within like the day. There's someone dedicated to working on social media, and they're just as eager. But anyways, there's this food brand that I had direct messaged. I think I like tagged on Facebook or like, commented on one of their photos. Like, hey, I just DM'd you. Nothing. Today I went in there. I went into the space, met the founder, met the catering person, met their biz dev person, and I'm like, I'm that person. I was that annoying person. And they had from so many different like channels though that like the brand was recognizable enough for them to be like, oh yeah, my friend so-and-so told me about you. And oh yeah, this person told me about you and she's credible. So it sometimes takes a little bit for you to like make it happen, but I literally will not give up. And I have found so many workarounds until I get in front of that right person. And if the person that says hard no, like then they're not the right brand for you to partner with. But usually it's okay. One of the things in fashion that would always happen is if an opportunity was presented to us, our number one question was, what other brands are participating? So it's funny kind of being on the other end of it. People won't ask that, but they'll kind of like scope you out and be like, what other brands have they worked with? So even if you've worked with a brand and like they didn't sponsor the event, they just donated product or donated space, call that out. Like definitely make sure people know that you've worked with Yes Supply and Like literally, today a friend saw that I was working with you and was like, "She's so cool. I want to work with her too."
Aww. That's so nice.
But it's just the power of putting your visibility out there and knowing, also being fair to the brand. And I would say that I'm very, like, I'm probably too fair to the brand. I'm like, I'm going to give you an Instagram call out. I'm going to give you, like, post it on Facebook. Or you're going to be on the invite. But I always want to make sure that the brand feels like they got the bang for their buck, whatever it was they provided.
Awesome. And that's so important too, because if somebody, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm like, am I muted? Am I not muted? Yeah, so if somebody works with you and then you give them all this amazing stuff, all these shout outs, they're going to want to work with you again. Or they're going to tell somebody like, you should get in contact with Emily if you want exposure to like 40 people at her event because she's amazing. And the second thing that I took out of that, which I think is really important, it's kind of like that underlying factor, is like knowing exactly what you want, because it's really easy to look at like a really happy like fashion blogger over there and then a really successful like life coach over there and be like, I kind of want to do everything. But then in wanting to do everything, then you have like 50 million half-finished projects and like 2 half-finished websites and 7, and I've been there for sure, half-finished blog posts or whatever, and then you don't get nothing done. You're like, I have no time because I'm working on all this stuff, but I haven't seen that end goal. So I love how you're like, I know I want this event on this day at this venue with like popsicles and chips and red wine, and you know what you're doing. And once you have that very distinct vision in your head, it's so much easier. And popcorn, obviously. I love the hashtag teamwork and popcorn, then you can get it. But if you're kind of like, I think maybe there should be food, then you might end up having a bunch of starving guests, right?
Yeah. You know, one thing I used to obsess, I literally used to obsess and be like, I need to get hydrangeas and I need to make it, I always want it to be beautiful. Like, if you look at my pictures, my mom always complains. She's like, you take so many pictures of food. I'm like, Mom, been on Instagram before? I'm like,
yeah, it's like if there's no picture, I didn't actually eat it. People are going to think I'm anorexic.
Yeah, exactly. You need the world to know. But I like presentation is always important, but I also realized like I don't need to bend over backwards and get like fine champagne and wine. I started asking for it, and that really, like what you were saying, just it saved me as an event planner like so much hassle. Mm-hmm. I live in New York. I don't have a car. I'd literally be like a pack mule, like carrying the champagne bottles from my apartment to like the Lower East Side. And now, my favorite thing is Uber Rush. I don't know if you have.
We don't have that yet. No, we're behind them.
Okay, so if you don't have Uber Rush, I use Uber as a messenger service all the time. This is my, like, when I was helping with an event the other day, and my friend's like, I need a Mophie, and it's only available at the Apple store, and that was like 2 miles from me, and I need it in an hour. I was like, great. I ordered it online.
That's
I had a messenger, like an Uber Rush messenger, or I'll have an Uber driver and have the person from the store bring it out, put it in the car, and then ship it. And it saves you so much time. It's like $20 for free product.
Like, yeah. The future is now, like clearly. Yeah. By the way, guys, if you have any questions like this, sorry, I couldn't do a proper interview because technology was just crashing and burning, but like this masterclass is really for you. So think about like what your goal is with event planning, or if you want to have your own company, or if you just want to plan some really cool events, and just ask, because that's like pretty much what Emily is here for us to have the opportunity to pick her brain. So don't be shy. Another question we have from Chelsea from the collective is, she says, I'd love her thoughts on what types of events are useful when you're first starting a business. So she's kind of in the like yoga, health, fitness space. So what kind of events do you think would be worth her time to sort of grow awareness of her brand?
So for her, I would definitely recommend partnering with someone that has a community already. Like partnering with like a 6 Degree Society or a Labo League, or even Ivy Connect is another big networking organization. And even if it means that she has to offer her service for free, the fact that she'll be able to collect and walk away with, depending on the size of events, of the event to like so many more emails and add that to her email list, it's a very good way to expose your brand.
Perfect. And then Samantha wants to know, what would you recommend for those interested in starting their own event planning businesses?
Start off small. I mean, it could literally be something like a supper club for your friends, starting off where you have a skill. Like, just find out what your passion is with event planning. Do you like planning the trip aspects? Do you ever do long distance events? Ooh, good question. I will answer that in a sec. But yeah, start off small. Like, start off maybe with a baby shower and taking over doing your friend's baby shower, and then being able to, by word of mouth. I'm a big believer in saying things out loud and like planting a seed in people's ears. It sounds really bad. But like letting people know that you're now planning events. So I planned your birthday party week, and then I'm like, hey, I actually want to go into business and start charging people. Can you let any of your friends know that they want like event management of the 30th birthday party, that I'll charge $150? And then, you communicate. What that would entail is like you communicate, manage it, you're on site managing everything. And then from that, you can start charging more and more and more. And then Vanessa, to ever do long distance events, does that mean do you mean I'm not here and I'm not at the space that we're hosting the event? Is that what you're saying?
If so, you're like the queen of that.
Yes. Okay. Yes, all the time. So my company, I'm based in New York, and I love traveling, but I can't travel to every event. So I have ambassadors in every single city. So I partner with my ambassadors on coming up with what the event's going to be. So if it's a question and answer at Trunk Club, I'll come up with the questions, and I'll send them to the ambassador, and she'll be the one who asks the questions. If it, same thing with me, like I do these matches. I do these custom matches. So I plan all the custom matches in advance. I'm kind of like Big Brother. I know everything about everyone. And then in regards to like event coordination, when I used to do store events and whatnot, I would do it. I'd literally be coordinating with Asia and like have to figure out where hydrangeas were coming from. And it was like the rainy season, and their hydrangeas are 17 times the price. So yes, and I don't know, Reese, when you're going to share the template afterwards, I think.
Yes, I will. You know what I can do while you're chatting? I can just add this. I'll just add the link in the chat.
Okay, so I use this template to organize long distance events and for events in this like bigger events. Nowadays, I don't use it as much, to be completely honest, because my events are a lot more simplified. But yeah, so I use these events to use this template, and it kind of just helps make sure that everyone's on the same page. And I share it with, if there was like an on-site coordinator, I share it with the catering vendor. I share it with, copy it to your own drive and customize it. It's honestly, there's some weird language in there. It's from what I used to use at Tory Burch. And it is...
Oh, I'll share it, don't worry.
Every single... Oh, it's restricted. Okay. Every company I've been at, I use this. And it just... Even we planned my mom's 60th birthday, and we had to wrangle like 12, 60-year-old women, which is worse than probably Vanessa's 2-year-old or 3-year-old baby. They were like running around like rogue cats. And but I shared it with everyone, so you keep all of the information on this page. Like, I use it for trips. Whenever I'm planning a trip, everyone's flight information is here. All that fun jazz.
Awesome. Vanessa knows the lifestyle too. So another big question is, what happens when you are planning an event, you put the event page up for sale and no one's buying? What would you do in that situation?
Oh my gosh, such a good question. And it happens, and I'm not ashamed to say, like, I've definitely canceled events. I'm like,
yeah. And I think it's everyone's biggest fear too. Like, oh my God, I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to partner with all these brands. And then what if nobody likes me and nobody buys, right? Like, so scary.
If you're not losing like a ton of money, I suggest giving out like 10 to 15 free tickets. And so then it
Okay.
warm bodies in the room. And that way they're going to fall in love with what you're doing, and they'll be able to spread the word from there and be like, oh, this was really cool, actually. And hopefully the next event will have more success. It's funny, I like actually keep track of that. I'm like, how many tickets have I given for free this year? How many have been discounted and how many have been full price? And at the beginning, I felt like as I was adjusting prices, like pricing is really hard. You have to make sure like the price really resonates. Like when I started my business, I like raised the prices considerably. I'm like, everyone's gonna want to do this for $65. I was like,
no.
Hello. Then I started doing like early bird pricing, standard ticket pricing, and day of pricing, and seeing if that changed a bit. And it's also fun to like watch the metrics to see where people purchase. Usually standard, not early bird. But I'm a big advocate of. Do you guys have Guest of a Guest in Toronto?
No, what's that?
It's an event page that is in a lot of major cities. Might not be in Toronto quite yet, but say you were hosting in LA or New York, or I think even San Francisco, you can post complimentary. Good question, Vanessa. You can post complimentary on their site, and they'll, like a lot of people will look at it for upcoming events. I have 8 chapters, and I belong to like Facebook groups for every single city. And I will post a week leading up to the event, introduce myself, like I'm the founder of a women's networking organization, this is the event, and you can make like a special promo code, especially if you use Splash or Eventbrite, for people to check out and make sure they're coming to your event.
Is this for the 6 Degrees Facebook group, or just Facebook groups in like regular Facebook groups in like Chicago or something? Okay.
No, yeah. 6 Degrees Facebook group, which you all should join. It has 1,600 like amazing women, so you could post any questions you have about life, or like I'm coming to New York and I want food recommendations, or I'm going to Chicago. But I like Dreamers and Doers is one of my favorite Facebook groups. They have locations in like they call it Dreamers and Doers Light, and they have like DC, San Fran, LA, and New York, and Miami. And I'll post in that, and it's so cool because like you have mutual friends with half the people that are in this group, but you've never met this person, and you should know them. So I'll post in those, and I'll post in like alumni groups. I don't know if you are in sororities. I'll post in sorority groups. Like a lot of my members came from like my Tri Delta alumni group, which is not where I went to college, but like the whole Tri Delta community that's in New York City. So that's interesting. And then to answer Vanessa's question, my ambassadors do get commission actually. So funny enough, like luckily enough and funny enough, most of my ambassadors found me, and they didn't know that they were going to get commission for being ambassadors. Please, do you mind muting your microphone? I'm echoing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so they didn't know that they were going to be paid ambassadors. They just like really, really liked what I was doing and wanted to be a part of my business. So what I built in was a 10% commission structure for each event ticket sales. And I also say it's after costs. To be completely honest, I usually do it before costs because I love them so much. And like, I don't want to be a jerk, but it also incentivizes them to keep overhead really low. Because a lot of times they will be the ones responsible for sourcing the cheese, the awesome cheese platters. Like, don't go to Whole Foods, go to Trader Joe's. Or like, if I wasn't able to get the stuff for free, you need to work on getting the stuff for free. And same with the space. But it's becoming, some markets are a little bit more challenging than others. LA is like, she's freaking my dream. Like, she's incredible. I love her so much. Literally such a well-oiled machine. She manages me. She manages up. And she then will send through her expenses and be like, hey, this is like an itemized receipt. She scans her receipts, so I'm able to keep them for taxes. And then I either Chase Quick Pay her or Venmo her to reimburse her. I actually am getting her a credit card of her own, so I won't. Reached out to me. It was really weird. I think it was like I was very, you scroll back to December, I did like a long manifesto on my Facebook and shared with people like, hey, I'm leaving my business. I'm leaving like the security of corporate life, and this is what I'm doing, and I might be insane. Please like lock me up. And people really reacted, and it resonated with a lot of people, I think. And it was like, so my ambassador, where she got her cookie cutters, is now my ambassador. The girl who makes her cookie cutters is now my ambassador in DC. So she saw on Instagram that I was hosting an event with her, and she was like, oh, I'm interested in this company. Are you coming to DC? And so we've been in communication since March, and we just launched in September in DC. And then, Jasmine, to answer your question, how much do I charge for your service? Good question. So I'm really so a lot of my events are a la carte. I charge depending on, I usually charge differently in every market. Like LA, people don't pay as much for events. I started off at $25, $30, and $35, but in New York, it's like $35, $40, $45 per event. If you're hiring me yourself, this is a great question, and this is something I struggle with all the time as well. So now companies are starting to reach out to me even more because I do my events for my people, and now I'm also like offering my services to other people. So I really find it hard to be like, this is how much I'm worth, and it's something I'm literally like talking to myself about every day. But if I'm coordinating an event that I've already done, and I'm literally just putting the pieces together, and it's my first time doing it, I'll charge like $150. But if I'm on site and I'm managing everything, I'll charge $400. So you kind of have to like play it by ear. Like I had a situation actually recently where this company reached out to me, and they saw I do this hairstyling and headshots event, and I partner with the salon, and she gave me the number of the budget, and I thought the budget was only for the hairstyling and headshots. I didn't realize it incorporated my fee. So like I sent her the invoice including my fee, and she was like, well, why didn't you tell me that was your fee earlier? And I was like, oh, shoot. That was such a learning for me because I'm so used to like operating on my own and operating with vendors and operating in my own little sphere that I forgot how to like communicate outwardly. So yeah, so being upfront and just saying, I think pick a number that you feel comfortable with and you feel like you have enough value, and stick with it, and just be like, this is it, and this is what you get. And then if you want this is going to cost that. So maybe make a rate card for yourself, or make a rate card, or like know the limits that you want. So if it's managing their social that night in addition to managing the on-site logistics, like throw in an extra $100 in there. If that makes sense.
Okay, last question I have, unless anyone else has questions. It's just a quick and easy question, but do you suggest that somebody who wants to go into events that doesn't have any prior experience do an internship or something first?
Yeah. I mean, internship in the sense, it's like an apprenticeship kind of. Like it's so fast. Like you'll learn all of this stuff. It's so very, very, very common sense things, I think. I would, maybe if you're at a PR agency, or if you're at, oh my gosh, I love that we didn't change the name for the template. We got to change the name for the template. Oops. If at your company, I would just ask to help, and then once you kind of build up a little bit of credibility on your own and you feel comfortable, then do events. Like I don't know if I would have the confidence myself to start cold turkey and be like, I'm an event planner, but I've never planned an event before. So if maybe there's someone you admire, like in Argentina, I started planning the trips because I really admired the woman and I loved what she did. So I sought her out and I was like, I would love to just be your intern. That means I can just shadow you and help you with anything that's challenging. and pay me in food and wine. And she did. And then she ultimately hired me. So, like, even if you have a full-time job, don't be nervous to, like, have a little side hobby hustle experiment on the side.
Sorry. So sorry about the technical issues. I have no idea what happened. So that's really frustrating, but I guess it's just like really good lesson for anybody who's planning their own event or even their own live online event, that as many times as you practice, as many times as you prep, because Emily and I did a prep night a couple days ago, something can still go wrong the day of, and just always try and think of a backup. So I was like, okay, maybe Google Hangouts will work. Always try and think of a backup, and always just keep calm because people get it, like things happen. But thank you so much for keeping your cool and keeping everyone entertained while we tried to switch over to this side. And it was fun just having a nice little intimate convo with like Vanessa and Melissa and Jasmine, who just left. And so to conclude, if anybody wants to, yes, Melissa, if anybody wants to keep in touch with you, thank you guys so much for coming, by the way, and thanks for staying till the end. If anyone wants to keep in touch with you or follow you, where would be the best place to find you?
Definitely. It's 6degreessociety.com, which I will write down for you now.
I can do it.
Okay, you do it. And on Instagram, we're 6_society. Wait.
Yeah, 6_degrees.
Yeah, 6_degrees_society. So feel free to follow along. We post a lot of interesting things, I think.
Cool.
And then also, if you want to email me, you're welcome to email me at emily@6degreessociety.com if you have any questions. Or if you're interested in opening a chapter in your city, I know there's a lot of Canada people, and I definitely am overdue for a proper visit to Canada. So
yeah, you got to come. So can you just repeat which locations you currently have chapters? So if anyone is watching the replay, they can be like, oh, I'm in Chicago or whatever.
Totally. So we have New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, New Orleans, Miami, and DC. And next year we'll be launching in Philly, Boston, Austin,
wow,
Denver, Dallas, and Houston.
That's amazing. That's so crazy.
I know.
So cool. Well, congrats to you. It's like so awesome getting a chance to do this with you and watching you grow. And hopefully I'll be able to come out to New York and do an event with you really soon. That would be so fun. And looks like you got a new ambassador, so that's awesome. or at least a new attendee with Vanessa.
I'm going to put you in a boot in Canada.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll obviously be in touch and see you soon.
Thank you so much for listening.